wrote the book was because of the importance of people understanding their heritage, even in Christianity. 21 years ago, I came to the state of Georgia. I'd grown up in the South, lived in the South all my life. But I moved to Georgia, and when I came to Georgia, I was impacted by the importance of the gospel and the heritage of the gospel, not only in families, but in churches. And over time came to see that there were many doctrines that we had either lost in our Georgia Baptist churches and many churches in the South, or we had for some reason put them aside, or they had become degraded in the eyes of the church. And so I began to do some work to look at the importance of biblical doctrines of the gospel. And as that came about, I began to see there was an importance of restoring our gospel heritage. Kurt and I began to talk about the importance of these things for Baptist churches in Georgia and the South as well. But the work that we were able to do was to look at these early Georgia Baptists and try to bring back an understanding of their doctrine. Their doctrine impacted everything they did, from their doctrine of the Trinity to their doctrine of sin, to their doctrine of salvation. How was man saved? Did man do something to save himself, or did God save man? And so as you looked at those doctrines, you began to see that their ideas for missions, their ideas for church planting, their ideas for moving into a frontier state like Georgia, those ideas were propelled by foundational doctrines of how they viewed God, how they viewed man, how they viewed man's need in his total sinfulness, his sinful nature. And as they moved forward to promote Christianity throughout frontier Georgia, these doctrines impacted everything they did in the life of the church. It even impacted the church and how the church functioned, how people looked at themselves, how they worked out the importance of the church. So these doctrines were not just doctrines that they held to mentally, but these were doctrines that propelled them forward in understanding this is what we need to do and why we need to do it. So as we looked at this information, we began to see, well, these are things that need to be restored in our churches today. And that became a catalyst for us to do research and to work through the importance of the doctrine of salvation. What is the doctrine of salvation in the Scripture? What did Georgia Baptists believe in accordance with that doctrine? Were they in line with the historic Christian faith, or did they have aberrant views or different views? And we began to see that there was a real connectedness to historical Baptist and the historical Christian faith for the last 1,500 to 2,000 years. And quite frankly, we recognized that we had lost that. So we wanted to give a restoration of those views to the church today.